Hello, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of The Hard Choice, Simple Steps for Showing Up. My name is Brad Draper. I am your host. I am grateful to be with you. I got a banger and I need my notes for it. I have notes on today because it's a little bit more complex and there are specific steps that must occur. But before all that, I'm going to relay a story. I'm pretty positive I've said this story before. Listen to it again. Maybe I'll say it a different way, most likely because it's been a year or two since I've said it. But this is a story about two lumberjacks, and they had a competition. This competition happened every single year. Whether this is a true story or not, doesn't matter. It's still a good lesson, though. And there was this old dude and this young buck. And the old dude pretty much won all the time. And this young buck came in and he said, I have more energy, I have more strength, I have more speed, I have more literally everything than this old dude. I'm going to chop down this tree. And it was like how many trees you can chop in 24 hours. I'm going to chop down more than this old dude. It's just physics. It's just age. And they started going and they both just started swinging. And this kid just kept going hours on end, swinging over and over and over again. And he would look over at the old man, and the old man was sitting there, hanging out, resting, taking a nap. He was sharpening his blade periodically. He was kind of didn't seem like he was going at the same pace. And as they kept going, this young buck just kept on swinging over and over and over again and falling trees and falling trees and falling trees and just doing so well. And as time went on, he looked over and he'd see him swinging. He'd see him working. But then he'd also see him resting. He'd see him sharpening. He'd see him doing things. And this kid just kept working, relentlessly pursuing these trees. And by the end of the competition, he thought, I did not really ever take a break. I slowed down a bit because I got tired because, you're swinging for that long, you're going to get tired. But there's no chance this old man beat me. And they started counting trees. And lo and behold, the old man won. And the young man said, how did you beat me? I never stopped. I watched you. You took naps. You ate food. You sharpened your blade. You were hanging out. How in the world did you beat me when I never stopped? And the old man said, when you were swinging constantly, I was sharpening my blade. You were relentlessly swinging. I was precisely swinging. I was dropping trees at a fraction of the swings you were, and I would take naps. I would rest. I would recover. That way, every hit was full power. You see, when that young buck just kept swinging, his power decreased. He thought he was being efficient. He thought he was just attacking these things, and he was. But each swing slowly, and his blade got duller because he never sharpened it. So the swing became less efficient, not only in power, but also in cutting ability. So the old man took fewer swings, but each swing had a purpose. It was full power with a sharp blade at the right spot, at the right time. And he felled more trees. Make that analogous to our company. We've got a particular employee that just hammers down. He just goes ballistic. And despite literally all of our efforts to say, dude, take a break, go for a walk, take a nap. You need to sleep at night. That's a pretty important thing. You should probably eat some food. He just hammers down because he thinks sleeping, eating food, and going for a walk are inefficient. So he just keeps on going away. That is inefficient. As that goes with time, your speed decreases. Your accuracy decreases. You think you're being accurate, but you're actually causing errors. It makes for inefficient movement. And we're working with this employee. This employee is very difficult in this capacity. He is brilliant, amazingly brilliant, and I love working with him. And I love being by his side. But that definitely decreases your speed. It definitely decreases your accuracy. And it affects businesses all the time. I guarantee you as the listener have done this. I know I have. More times than I care to admit. We just keep going because we don't want to pause. We don't want to lose our spot. We want to hoe to the end of the row. But sometimes laying down and taking a nap is the best course of action. Sometimes the best choice you can make is no choice at all or inaction, which, by the way, is a choice. We had an opportunity earlier this week where we didn't really know what to do. Could the market go up? Could the market go down? We decided ultimately to take an L, take a loss, because it was one of those we could lose a lot. We could lose what we have right now, or we could possibly make some. We don't know. So we decided to get out of position, take the L, take the loss that we knew we could occur and could sustain and attain, and then do nothing and just see how it plays out. We decided the best course of action was no action at all. That was our decision. And that is a decision, by the way. Doing nothing is a decision. And we chose that to be the best. Hindsight, had we stayed in position, it would have been profitable. But that's a roll of the dice. You win some, you lose some. Luckily, we win far more than we lose. But it's important to understand in this game as we progress. I was listening to a podcast. I listen to a lot of podcasts, by the way, quite a bit. I listen to them when I work out. And they were talking about how cool it is. Well, this podcaster was actually Gary Vee, of all people, stated he wished he would have podcasted while he was rising up, because now everything is, this is what happened, this is how I did it, and this is the end of the story. How powerful it is to relay your story as you're in it, which is what I'm doing. That's where I'm at. I find power in teaching myself things, because I listen to my own podcasts, teaching myself things, learning from myself, and then relaying to you my mishaps, my struggles, my trials. Just like I said with our coworker, that's a difficulty to manage and work through, which we're working through. We took an L, which totally freaking sucked. It wasn't super fun. It was several $1,000s, and for a new startup, that freaking hurts. But it allowed us to recalibrate and not be emotional. If you remember, we trade in the futures market. We're in the stock market. And so it's a gamble. It's a risk. It is very dynamic, and it is driven by human sentiment and human decision and human emotion. So we remove our emotion. Sometimes the best way to do that is to get out. But back to this sharpening and falling of trees. I got to go to my notes because there's a lot to it. So here's the thing with chopping trees. 1, you can't swing like a freaking wimp. Kind of like what I talked about last episode with being a warrior and attacking with relentless pursuit. You got to swing with everything you have. Every hit, like the old man, every hit has to be full power. Every hit has to be precise. It must be accurate. By the way, and precision and accuracy are not the same thing. I know people use those interchangeably. They are very much so not the same thing. On a dartboard, when you're throwing darts, accuracy is, can you hit the bullseye? Can you hit the 20? Can you hit the 6? When you say you're going to hit the 6, do you hit the 6? That's accuracy. Precision is how tight the cluster is. How tight can you get all of those darts in the same spot? Can you put all of them on the bullseye? Can you put all of them on the triple 20, which, by the way, is worth more than the bullseye? Bullseye's 50, triple 20 is worth 60. So can you get all 3 of your darts, or 5 of your darts, depends on your game, in that triple 20? Or are they all over creation? So accuracy and precision. Your swing has to be hard, everything you have. It must be accurate. The right hit, the right location, not just any swing. The swing in the right place. And then swinging and hitting that same place over and over and over again. And lastly, your blade must be sharp. If you got a dull blade, I don't care how many times you hit the tree. If you have a really dull blade, like a hammer, it's never going to drop the tree. But effort in hitting, power in hitting, accuracy, precision, and sharpness all matter when hitting the tree. They all matter in business. When you attack something, when you go after something, when you do a task, you must do it with everything you have. Don't half-heartedly do it. Don't do it like a little wimp. Hit that thing and hit it hard. My son and I were at the gym today. He's 7, by the way. Well, turning 7. And he was like half-heartedly doing this lat pull down. So I started yelling at him, pull it down. And so he started ripping on it. And then we went over to the shoulder press and he started, keep in mind, this kid weighs like 60 pounds. He's pressing 10 pounds. Then he moves to 20, then 25. Then the 30 gets pretty heavy. It's half his body weight. Go figure how many of us can shoulder press half our body weight in a seated position without throwing it up or jerking it. Not many, let's be honest. And then he just starts hitting. I said, you better press with everything you have. He pressed the 35, the 45, the 55, the 65. He cleared his body weight in the shoulder press. And basically most of the gym started paying attention. We were at a little clubhouse gym, by the way, so there's like 6 people in there. But people started noticing this little 6, 7-year-old pressing more than his body weight. That came from everything he had. You need to have that kind of power with every action that you take. On that next business call, on that spreadsheet, on whatever it is that you do in work, it needs to be full power. You must be accurate in your swing. Hit the right spot. It matters where it lands. If you land on the wrong thing and you're swinging the axe all the time, all over creation, you're gaining a bunch of learnings, but they're not synergistic. You can have all these learnings all the time, but if it's not aimed at the right thing, they don't become synergistic and you don't progress down the path. You must have an accurate hit. You must have a precise hit, hitting the same spot over and over and over. And then lastly, your axe has to be freaking sharp. If you are not fit, let's say physique, I don't know why that was going to come out. If you're not fit, if you're not mentally strong, if you don't have the capacity, you don't have the energy, you're too tired. If you're not well hydrated, if you don't have the proper nutrition, if you don't have the right spiritual upness, if you're not meditating and praying and studying, if you're not taking your vitamins. I was watching the Hulk Hogan documentary. Pray, take your vitamins. If you're not doing these things, your efforts are in vain. You have to be taking the right swing at the right spot at the right time with a sharp blade. The blade being your mind, being your body, being your attention, being your alertness. They need to be sharp. I've said time and time and time again, my fitness level is my highest priority. Because if I'm not mentally fit, emotionally fit, spiritually fit, if I'm not all the fit things, physically fit, I cannot show up for my family. I can't show up for my God. I can't show up for my coworkers. I can't show up for my neighbors, not to the best of my ability, at least. I'm going to show up at like a 40, 50, 60%. I need to show up at an 80, 90, 95. I'm not sure if it's possible to hit 100%, to be truthful. That'd be like God level, but you can get way up there. It's important to have all of these pieces in alignment to drop the tree, in alignment to get to where you're going. You must be ruthless in your efforts. You must be relentless in the pursuit and never slowing down. You must be unbeatable. And the person that is unbeatable is the person that just keeps freaking showing up. They just keep annihilating. They keep going. They keep attacking. They don't win every battle, but they sure as hell will win the war. In time, it will happen. It is inevitable. Just like they say in Guardians or the Avengers, right? It is inevitable. Say that in Matrix too. It is inevitable. It's important to keep on walking. Just like the Misogi, the sun is going to rise. You just keep walking. You keep stepping. You keep moving that needle 1 degree at a time. Eventually, you will get to where you're going and then beyond. And the fun fact, the coolest thing is it is so much better than you can possibly imagine. It is so much greater than you can even fathom because you've not yet been there. And how cool it is and how glorious of a day that'll be when you look back and be like, holy crap, we're here. / we're getting there. That goalpost always moves, by the way. So you're never actually there. But it's that pursuit and that movement forward and how beautiful that is. Thank you for sharing this episode with me. Thank you for having this conversation with me. Reach out on social medias, Mr. Brad Draper. I would love a conversation. leave me a review, share this episode is the only way the show grows. We grow organically. So that's super cool because I do see the numbers rising, which means you share it. So cool. Mr. Brad Draper. Like this thing, subscribe to it, download it for future listenings. Until next week, I love you guys. Bye.